All right, welcome back to another episode of High Value Hustling. Today we have a guest that I'm super pumped to have on. His name is Brendan. He has so many experiences and so many things. So he not only has faith, but perseverance in how he carries others, even while he's the one on fire. Brendan Behan is 20 years old, graduating college in just 3 years with a major in finance and a minor in sales. But what sets him apart isn't just his drive, it's his depth. From facing cancer to a kid and to dreaming of marriage, family, and jumping off 50-foot cliffs, Brendan has a story that's both grounded and gripping. Get ready for a conversation that might just change how you see struggle, strength, and success. Brendan, welcome to the podcast, my man.
Thank you, James. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Cool. I would love to rewind a little bit. And what was young Brendan like growing up?
So, thank the Lord that I grew up in a very nice Christian household. My mom and dad and I had a younger brother. We all went to church every single Sunday, and they were all very supportive of me. We played sports all the time, basketball, football, and baseball growing up, even karate when I was a little kid. So I got to dip my toes in a lot of things, but it was always good, and it was especially important to see my parents be very supportive the way they were, and just loving and caring for not only me, but my brother as well. But going to all of our sporting events, making sure we had everything, making sure that we were ready all the time. And then they were always pushing us in school to get good grades, all A's, they said. But yeah, and then that's about it.
Nice, man. So you have a younger brother, Bryce. Growing up, how different was your relationship with him growing up than it is now? Or was it?
Yeah, it's a lot different. I would say when Bryce and I were younger, we used to fight a lot. Bryce and I are very, very, very competitive. And so everything would be like a battle to see who would be the best brother. And so whether that be like it was sports or who got to do different chores like in the house, like just small things like that. But everything would be like a competition. So it was a lot harder, I guess, when we were kids to get along because everything that we would do, we wouldn't have a competition. But the more and more that we grew up, and especially now, like all that's behind us, and we're definitely like more of a team now. And it's like I love my brother; he's my best friend, and I think that those experiences, like in the past, like help set us up for like success now. And we're just a dynamic team, so I love it.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. I've had 2 sisters growing up, but to have a brother just sounds like a whole lot of fun. You can appropriately like push each other to the limit, which
Absolutely.
is like fun.
Yeah.
Can't exactly do that
with
sisters as much, but that's awesome. Yeah. So was faith a big part of your household growing up? You already told us that. What was it like with watching your parents as you went to church, or with Bryce? Like, were you saved first? Was Bryce saved first? Did your parents have a big influence in that?
Yeah. Bryce and I we came to a relationship at Jesus. We accepted him in our hearts around the same time, but like it wasn't on the same day. I don't think he did it because I did it first, and vice versa. But Bryce and I both learned from my parents growing up, like as I said. But every single morning, I would see my dad and like drinking his coffee with the light on, reading the Bible. Same with my mom. They'd be in like separate spaces, so they would have their own time with God. And then every single Sunday, like I said, we went to both services, both the kids ministry and then the big service part at 10:30. And then we also attended youth group. But they would always push us to stay in our relationship with Jesus, keep God at the head and at our priority. But I don't think Bryce accepted and got into his heart because of me, and vice versa, like I said. And we'll get into this in a second, but I kind of gained more of a better relationship with Jesus during my journey with cancer. And Bryce has his separate story, but he came to God more like later on, I think, and had like a better his relationship with God was better as it moved on, which is great. But yeah, my parents definitely had a big impact of making sure and instilling that God is the head point in our lives.
Yeah. I'd definitely love to talk about that. So did you accept Jesus into your heart before cancer, and then it was strengthened after, or was it more during?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us about your testimony? When did that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, like I accepted God like at a young heart, like in my heart, like at a young age, but cancer really helped that relationship grow into what it is today. And so when I first originally got cancer in the 6th grade, I always looked to my dad for everything, to like fix everything, provide everything, do this. Like, Dad, I need this. All right, it's done. And just whatever I needed help with, I would ask him. He would know, and it would be done. And so it'd be great. The sixth grade comes around, and then I get told that I was diagnosed with cancer. This is the first time, like, in my life, he couldn't help with that. Like, he couldn't just take this away. I couldn't say, Dad, I don't want this anymore. Obviously, can you take this away?
Yeah.
That couldn't happen. And so I really, 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 really had to surrender and give my all and trust in Jesus. And so that's what really propelled my relationship with God forward, is just trusting in him that he'll take this away from me, because I don't know how to do it. I'm a sixth grader. I'm not like a doctor or anything like that. I don't know how any of this works. And then my mom was in the medical field, and so was my dad. He was a firefighter in EMT, but he didn't know how to do this. And so I had to trust in God with all my heart, 110%, that he would help me help me get over this, and he would provide like a good support system around me to help me push through it. So,
wow, I can't even imagine sixth grade getting told that. So, what was that day like? How did even, like, what were the symptoms? I'm like very ignorant to like knowing how cancer like symptoms work. I think what I've heard is you typically, like, someone finds a lump somewhere and they're like, okay, we got to get it checked out, and then they scan it. They're like, oh, this is not good. And then it goes from there. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, so I had like a lump. It was decent size. It was about like the size of a tennis ball, but it was on the side of my neck.
Okay.
And being in sixth grade, I had no idea what it was, so I didn't like really raise concerns about it. And then around November, like middle of November, towards like the end, we're coming back from the dining room table, and I was coming back with seconds, and my mom noticed it on my neck, and so she's like, we should probably get that checked out. I'm like, all right, like, whatever. So, like, let's go. And then we got that biopsied, and then it was actually right after, it was like right after Thanksgiving, and then I got the news more towards like New Year's, that the news came back. And what that day kind of looked like was I woke up, and we were on winter break, so I slept in. I was chilling. I was a sixth grade on winter break. I loved it. And then I wake up and I just come downstairs, and I can see downstairs into like my kitchen, my whole family sitting there with donuts in the center, and like in the center of the table. And I could tell like my mom's been crying, and then my dad's been crying as well, and my brother was there as well. But it was super weird to see. Like, I always see my dad as like this strong leader, like leader of the household. Like nothing can stop him. And that was the first time and only time I've ever seen my dad cry. And so I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
And so I get down there, and then I'm like, also, like, what are the donuts for? Like, you guys are, we're gathered around a table right now with donuts. Like, why are people crying? Like, dig in. And so, but yeah, then that was the time when my dad dropped the news on me. And that was the first time I ever saw him cry like that. And it was a lot to handle, but it was kind of weird. One of a close friend at the time, his dad recently died of cancer at that time. And so once I first heard that, I'm like, geez, I'm only in the sixth grade. Like, I'm going to die like of this in a couple months. Like, what am I going to do? And just like, I had so much life to see and like live up to, and like all of I'm not going to be able to see any of it. And so I had like a lot of things going through my mind at that time. And then we went to the doctor right away, and kind of, she ran me through what it would look like and things like that. And so, but yeah, it was a scary time for sure.
Wow. So growing up, we went to the same church, Westgate Chapel.
Yep.
Toledo, Ohio, shout out. But I remember the saying, because I don't know what grade I was in. I might have been in 8th grade or 7th grade. I think I'm a grade or two older than you. But I remember this saying, there was these purple shirts made with like ribbon, and it said, "Be strong."
Yep.
So can you tell us where that came from?
Yeah. So it was right before my first round of chemo. My best friend Garrett, he made these shirts. It said B. My nickname was B, and it said "Be strong," and then it had the cancer ribbon on the side. And he made those shirts in support of me, and started a fundraiser there. And so obviously chemo's not cheap, and the appointments aren't cheap at all. And so all of that money went to me and my family to support that. And he was a huge help and huge impact in that time, and especially today in my life. So shout out Gary if you're listening.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I also remember when so our youth pastor at the time, Dave Bezick, he told us kind of the story, and he described it as like so many people were crying. Like I remember sitting in that Westgate room, that the blue room or the middle school room.
Yeah, overflow room.
Yeah. And Pastor Dave saying, so we have some news, and they like put pictures up on, and they said, but Brendan told his mom, it's gonna be okay. Like I'm gonna be okay. Because God's got me, and like, be strong and courageous. And I just remember like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I like so much respect for that, because you have the most reason to complain, to be negative, to feel sorry for yourself, and you are sitting in the hospital comforting your family who's like concerned. So that's like always stuck with me, like genuinely.
Yeah, it's a lot different. Like when you're in like the heat of the moment like that, like when you're going through like a hard time or a hard experience like that. But in that time, especially then and now, still today, like I understand it more. But like once I fully surrendered everything to God and realized I can't do anything about this, like this is all in God's hands, it brought me so much peace and joy and comfort that it was, I can't explain it, but it was something.
Wow, that's incredible. After cancer, you are is it 7th grade or 8th grade? Like, so what was that remission process like? Like,
yeah,
is several months after?
Yeah, and so my last round was when I wrapped up my 6th grade year. Okay. So, and I'll add this in too, but my 6th grade math teacher came over every single day to tutor me, so I didn't fall a grade behind, and lose that. And so, every single day after school, she would leave whatever she was doing, like either grading, seeing family, and things like that. And she would first go to pick up my papers and all my textbooks and homework and things like that from the school, then come home, shower, disinfect like everything, because I was so sick. Like if someone coughed on me, I could have died. Like I didn't have the immune system or anything to fight it off. And so, the same thing for my parents. Like they would come home, like drop all their work clothes like in the garage and then go straight to the room to shower and just get 100% clean. But my tutor, Mrs. Gill, she showered and everything, cleaned all my stuff, and then brought it over and then tutored me for like hours. And so I would always like stay ahead, and so I didn't fall a grade behind. But that wrapped up. My last round of chemo was, I believe, April, and so I was done with school. I was almost done with school. I actually came back for like a couple of weeks to surprise my teachers. And so it felt like normal again, but it was still weird because I was still feeling it at the time. But I was there for like a couple of weeks, and then summer hit, and then 7th grade, and was when everything was back to normal for me. So
wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
that's incredible. What a great testimony too. So you're saved. You believe in Jesus. You go through cancer, which draws you, which is crazy because when things in life happen that we can't control, it's an opportunity either for us to like hate God or run to Him and be like, Father, I just need your help.
Yeah,
and that's what you chose to do. You're like, Father, I just need your help. So, what was your faith like after cancer? Like going into 7th grade year, I'm like most people's walk with God is usually like. For the most part, like it's not straight up, but it's going up like the stock market over time. But So what was it like 7th and 8th grade year and getting back to normal and like faith with God and stuff?
Yeah, I would say honestly it stayed the same. My relationship with God was at at that time like the peak, and so it was at that peak, and then 7th and 8th grade year it was still around that same wavelength. And it only got better over time. So
good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
You're about to graduate college.
Yep.
And actually, first, I'd like to ask you about you play basketball, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you play basketball, and that's also too like whenever I think of like Be Strong, I'm like, okay, Brendan, basketball. be strong and courageous. So, you played basketball in high school, and do you play any other sports?
I played basketball in middle school as well, and then cross country in middle school, and then like a little bit of track, and then in high school was basketball, football, and baseball.
Oh wow! All right.
So yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, what was your favorite sport to play?
Football, 100%. Yeah, all my friends were on the same team. It was such a fun year, even though we went 4-6. But that was the most amount of fun I've had on a team, and it was awesome. I loved every second of it.
Who's your team that you root for now?
Ohio State all the way. I don't really have as big of an NFL team. I kind of just follow like a lot of what Ohio State's Buckeyes are doing in the NFL and what their stats are and things like that. But I'm a huge Ohio State football fan. So
that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch a ton of football, more of like basketball. Golden State Warriors is my team. But as football, Ohio State, I don't watch much NFL either. But cool. All right, so you're about to graduate college. You're graduating in 3 years because in your high school, your senior year, you took CCP classes.
Yep.
Right? And then I just see like you doing very well in finance and helping people understand their money better. What's your dream that you like understand now? Like it'll change most likely, but what's your dream now for like what you want to go do?
Yeah. So my dream right now would be to end up being a financial advisor. I've always had like when I was looking for a career, I had like 3 things in mind that I wanted to do. Number 1 was to help people find a problem that they have and how can I help you? And then my second one was flexibility. If I can have like a flexible schedule, not necessarily work like the 8 to 5, like Monday through Friday, every single day and have like that strict time. And I guess it'll be like that in the beginning, like 100%, but like later down the road, to like have that flexibility of like, as long as my work's done, like coming in when I want and things like that. So it'll be super nice. And then the third thing was being able to have like enough income to support a family. Cause obviously that's my number 1 goal is to have a family and for me doing whatever I can, especially financially to support them with their needs and wants. That's my top priority. So those were the 3 things I was looking for, and financial advisor hit all those 3.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it's a great industry too. Yeah. Like whenever you hear someone say that they want to help people, it's just such a cool thing to hear because that can look so different for so many different industries. You can do an industry for different motives, and to hear that one is just so cool.
Yeah.
I remember this young man. I was in finance. I had to take some finance classes for my undergrad, and he was like, "I just want to make the most amount of money possible." I'm like, "You can do that. That is achievable." But I'm like, "Don't you want like? Don't you care at all to like help people?" He's like, "Honestly, no." I'm like, "Dang."
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay, do your thing, I guess.
Yeah. But some people are like that. Like they just want all the money as possible, and they like, especially nowadays with all of social media, you'll see all these influencers and everything flashing like Birkin bags or nice cars and things like that. And so it's a driving force for sure, but it shouldn't be like your main focus, I guess.
Yeah. I love this. I don't know who I heard this from. It might have been Alex Ramosi, but there's, especially for any guy in their 20s or any guy or girl, but there's an ignorance debt. Like there's just an automatic ignorance debt of all the information that we don't know, that whether it be common sense or complex things that we are going to have to learn. That we're going to have to learn eventually. And in order to reduce that as much as possible, we have to learn. And it's either you learn that by doing it and failing at it, like just doing like the natural progression of life. I didn't know what to do, and so I did the wrong thing, and then I learned. Or you like read and get mentored and get all that stuff. So like I'm a huge fan of like how can I pay the ignorance debt down as fast as possible?
Yeah.
Like who's like so for example, right, if you find someone in the industry that you want to be in and you're like, I'm gonna ask, can I work for free for that guy for like a year or whatever it may be. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that's kind of what my mindset was going into my current internship, TFO. But there's a young guy there he's actually a strategist as well. But I need to ask him, like, I want to be in your shoes like in a couple years. And you started off as an intern just as I am right now, and you're a strategist like a couple years later, like, and kind of obviously I'll still like be there to for my internship and get paid. But after that, kind of try to be like a sponge and soak up as much information from him as possible.
Yeah.
And if that's my goal, I'll do whatever it takes to get there. And so that's a big step to doing that.
Where do you think that drive comes to help people from? Where do you think that drive comes from?
Ooh, I think it's just natural. I think it's just I always want to help people, like, no matter what. Like, I don't want for me to be, I guess, like at the mountaintop, quote unquote, but and then like look down and like see someone that I could have helped up, or with someone that doesn't have like the same like skill set or mindset that I do, and like to see myself keep going up like the way I do, and then seeing someone like, oh, I could have helped them, or they had a need, and how could I have fixed it? I feel like it's always just been natural, but it's always been in me. So,
Glad.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, oftentimes too, I find that the more time we spend with God, the more desire we have to help other people, and to see them truly get better and to grow. Because we won't, like, I think as Christians, we want to see people not feel miserable with life.
Yeah,
that's just really good. You're dating a Christian woman.
Yep.
How has she impacted your faith, your dreams, aspirations, anything else in life?
Yeah, she is absolutely amazing. Absolute love of my life. But her and I, when we first started dating, we made an agreement that we're going to keep, no matter what, we're going to keep God at the center of our relationship. Amen. That's top priority. And so we do that every single day by praying and then reading the Bible, and just living our lives for him. And then he's the center of whatever we do. It's filtered through God and what he wants for us. So that's number one priority. And then we also attend church together every single Sunday. And that was another talking point that we had before we started dating. She went to Five Lakes, and I went to Westgate. And before, like I said, like before we even started dating, we came to the agreement of like going to church together, like one church. But we eventually ended up at Westgate Chapel, and then I just love what Rob's doing every single Sunday. And then I'm in a young adults group that meets on 9:00. It's also led by Tom Richards as well, and a couple other guys. And so I just love that and love everything that they're doing. And also the serving opportunities are great there too. But yeah, her family is also very, very religious, very Christian. And her parents did a tremendous job, like raising her, and from a young age, showing her who God is, and to keep him at the center of her life was top priority. So I'm very thankful for her parents, and they did an amazing job.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
When did you meet her, by the way?
So it's actually a funny story. I can't pinpoint the exact date that I met her. But we've been family friends ever since we were like in elementary school. And so she has two younger brothers. One brother is older than I am, and then the other brother is younger than I am, and he's actually in Bryce's grade, so a year younger than I am. And him and Bryce were like best friends, like especially like going from elementary school, and they've been friends ever since. And then especially around my junior, senior year, we kind of got in a lot closer. And then at first it really started off like as a joke with me and her mom.
Really?
Her mom was like playing it off as a joke, like, oh, it'd be so nice for you to like date my daughter. And I'm like, yeah, like 100%. Like, and I was single at the time, and so at this point I'm like looking for what I like and don't like in girls. And I had like my values of obviously they have to love Jesus at the top, and then everything was filtered through that. And I'm like, yeah, they'd be like nice 100%. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, man, if she checks all my boxes, like, what am I doing? And so, but she was dating a guy at the time. And so I would still like talk here and there, but I want to be like respectful of that. And then her younger brother, was all for it. He was always like, he's like, I want you to be with Ashley. And like, I think it'd be super nice. And then, and so he was kind of giving me like the ins of like what's happening in their relationship. And then they eventually broke up. And so I'm like, all right, this is my time to go. And so it was actually the big, like towards the middle, actually like a year ago, like we first like started like talking. And then we kind of got like connected like that way. And then we just hung out like more one-on-one. And then especially like when her brother went to school at Liberty, like we got like more one-on-one time to like talk and hang out and things like that, and things just went off from there. So
Wow,
but it's good.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I can see how genuinely, like how much she means to you.
Yeah.
Like just the way like you talk, and that's just so cool. If there was somebody who is wanting to get in a relationship with anybody, let's just say he believes in God and that's a priority for him, but he's not sure if that should be a requirement for a girl that he's interested in, what advice would you give him?
Number one, and I've said it like on this podcast like before, and I'll say it again, but she has to love God at number one. At the highest point of her life, God has to be number one.
What does that mean though? Because some people say that, but you don't see it with their actions.
Yeah. And that's the big thing, seeing with their actions. So like going to church and then reading the Bible, like read the Bible, talk about God with each other, and things like that, and having like those conversations. And then especially like once you get to know her and talk to her more, you'll see God in her, and just the way she acts and talks, and you'll be able to see, okay, is God really in her life? Is he not? Like, is this all for talk, and things like that? But that's number one. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then after that is all kind of like, does she like fit your personality? Like, do you like spending time with her? Is she social? Does she like your family? Does she like going out on adventures? Is she smart? She got a good head on her shoulders, things like that. So that's kind of in no specific order. It's all like very personal on like what you look for first, but that's kind of like what aligns best for me. So
that's awesome. It's it can be very difficult to find truly genuine Christ followers, because there are a lot of people that know a lot of information about Jesus growing up in the church or not. But having that personal relationship is hard to find.
Yeah.
The younger you are. So that I'm so happy to hear that about the relationship and the priorities and the advice that you're giving. Man, yeah.
But if I could add one thing, you gotta. I prayed about it a lot, like all my life. God, like lead me to who you want me to be with for the rest of my life. And my parents did the same. The rest of my family did the same. She did. Her family did. And then the more we prayed, and then like when we met, like I knew like right from the start, like she's the one. And then the more that we got into the Bible together, like and built our relationship around God, and I'm like, this is the one. So God, Jesus is number one priority. I'll say it again and I'll say it over and over, but God is number one, and you need to have him in your life.
Yeah. What is it? A 3-stranded cord cannot be broken easily, like in relationships, and it's usually used for marriage. But if you just have 2 strands, you can cut that much easier than 3 strands, because you have Jesus and both of you have a firm foundation.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, if she's ever interested, we could have both of you on. You guys can
that'd be awesome.
That's fun. All right. Yes, man, such good conversation. So far.
Love it.
All right. We've mentioned at the beginning about cliff jumping.
Yeah.
What is this? So I'm all for thrills. Cliff jumping is just a new level that's unlocked. So you've been cliff jumping once before.
Yep.
And essentially you find, like, for your mom, a very safe spot to jump in water that's very deep, and you do it safely. But the thrill of that is you're in nature, and you safely jump into water.
Yeah. I love thrills. I love adrenaline rushes and things like that. Obviously, all of these are safe. But yeah, I just love that. And we took a boys trip last May to Tennessee, and we went to the Great Smoky Mountains, and we found like a spot. And that was so much fun. That was the highlight of the trip by far. There was a spot that was like 15 feet up, and then there was a spot that was like 30 feet up. But you had to like this tiny rock that you had to like plant 1 foot off of, and then you had to clear like 6-8 feet of rock and brush in order to get to the water. But it was just fun. It was a fun time. And just that, like, and not only like cliff jumping, but like there's other things as well that like get the heart pumping, and it's like it's exciting. Like that's just what I love to do, and that's I gotta find my goal is to find like a spot like higher than 30 feet to go off of. So like 50 set. I heard there's a spot like 70 feet.
Oh man.
That'd be the dream. I think that'd be awesome. But yeah.
Even doing that like the safest way possible, I would be so man, this just got me thinking back to I swam. I did 1 year of competitive swim in high school, and the final meet. It sounds a little weird, but they would actually like put this like slippery oil on you so that you would glide through the water faster. Like they would recommend you shave your whole body, and then you put this, and so you would just be like butter in the water.
Yeah,
like, you could definitely feel it.
Interesting. I've never heard of that.
But I know that some divers do that too. Like especially the higher you go,
yeah,
you're doing like that kind of thing, so that you can enter the water at a great angle and minimum friction and stuff.
It's all angles, and there's different ways that you can like enter the water, like breaking the surface, and so you don't 100% like feel that. But yeah, there's like different ways that you can do it. Yeah.
What does legacy mean to you when you think about the kind of man, husband, and future father you want to be?
What is legacy?
Yeah, it's like what you leave behind. Some people don't care. Some people don't care, and that's okay. But as you are starting your journey off here as a young man with God, you have a much higher likelihood of starting marriage off right, of leading a family as a father in a good way. So a different way to ask that is, what are you most excited about for being a father or being a husband?
Yeah,
Let's say that.
I just want to be remembered, and I want to be able to lead a God-led Christian family first, like the right way, in the best way that I can. And so doing whatever that is and sacrificing whatever my wants is to fulfill those needs, that's my number one. And so if I could leave that behind and kind of instill in my future kids that God's the number one, and to help them become young Christian men and future leaders, that's what I wanted to leave behind.
That's awesome. Would you ever go paragliding, where it's like a triangle kite thing, and there's a bar?
Yeah.
Movie Rio. Would you ever do that?
I think I would, but I would want like one of those like backpack parachutes on me just in case it falls. I saw like a clip on Instagram Reels like I think it was like a week ago, but one of the things like malfunctioned, and then his like harness to the thing, like the carabiner, like snapped or something, or like the rope like snapped, and then he was just like free hanging on there. And so if I had like a parachute on my back, that'd be a top priority for safety, Mom. But yeah, I would want to do that for sure. But also skydiving, like you said it before, like you said you went skydiving and absolutely loved it. But that's also another thing on my bucket list, is to go skydiving.
You know what's super interesting about skydiving is that if you're over 18 years old, you have to go 2 or 3 times minimally with someone else. Like you have to, I forget the term for it. Maybe it's like a tandem. Tandems. You have to go tandem. So there's a professional who's done it X amount of times. So you're buckled to the front of that person so that they can do it with you 3 times and show you what to do and all that. And then after that, you can free dive.
Yeah,
you can do it solo. But if you are under, I think it might be 17 or 18. It's a liability for you to go tandem for some reason. So if you want to do it, if you're under 18, you have to go solo your first time.
Okay.
It's I don't know why I just remembered that, but I think I went to this place in Michigan and had a blast, did it tandem, super scary, but also super thrilling.
Yeah.
I remember them saying that. I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. Huh.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, this is a question I ask every podcast guest that comes on now. If you can go back to a time when you were a young kid, just one moment in particular, it does not matter the age, but at some point when you were younger, and you can have 5 minutes just to talk to that Brendan. Maybe it was during cancer, maybe it was before, maybe it was after. What would you tell him? What would you talk about?
That's a great question. I started as early as possible, but like old enough where I can like understand and like fully realize like what my now self is saying. But I would just tell myself to keep, no matter what, like keep God at the center. Like that's that's our whole. If we don't have God, like we have no purpose.
That's right.
And so I would just go back to my younger self and say exactly that, like to keep, no matter what happens, like you'll face like trials and temptations in your life, but just to keep God at the front. But and I would just like instill that in my younger self as much as possible. But then also just trust him as much as I can. And like there's like a lot of uncertainties, especially like when you're in your life trying to like figure everything out, and when you're going through middle school, high school, and even in college, like for career wise, like at the beginning, there's just like a lot of uncertainties, and just to remind myself, and tell my younger self to just trust in God, and no matter what happens, like just give it all to him and surrender everything.
Wow. I remember a lot of things from Westgate Chapel and growing up. Has there been any other defining moments in your life that you remember, either with your dad, your mom, or with God, or any other things that you remember?
That just stood out to me. I brought it up earlier, but just watching every single morning when I would get up to go to school, or even when I went up to go to work, I would just always see my parents, like they obviously love each other and they have God at the center of the relationship, but taking that time alone, like going in separate rooms of the house and diving into God's word that way, and just having that like alone time with him, that's always like stuck with me. It's been really, really interesting. Every single time I would go down the stairs, there's like a room immediately to the right, and I would look in there. It's kind of like a quiet room almost, and there's like it's got like windows on the side, and then there's like nice like nature paintings on the walls, and it's like comfortable couch, and like it's like a nice place to stay. It's like super quiet, so I would always just like peek in there to see if the dog's in there, because I don't know where he's at, but also like who's in there. Like there's a light on, like who's in there, and I always see my dad in there with the lamp on, and then he's got his Bible in front of him and a coffee, and so that's always just stuck with me. Like no matter what, like you gotta have, especially as leader of the house and man of the house, of what, and especially what I inspire to be. Like I've always looked to my dad since day one, but being able to dive into God's word by your as a couple, but also you gotta have it as yourself as well, more as like at a personal level. But I've always just looked up to that, and that's always been like something that's I've seen in my dad, and especially in my mom's life as well. That's always just stuck with me. So
wow, that's so cool just to see your dad is literally setting up his day. He's grounded in Christ.
Yeah.
To see that consistently.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's something special, and that's something that you want to continue when you get married.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think there's an adjustment period regardless. I'm not married. I can't even speak on this, but what I do know is that you get into your own routines, because whoever I marry, she's going to have all of her like probably great ideas of what marriage is, and I'm going to have all my ideas of what marriage is, and then you live it, and you're like, okay, this is different than I thought. But especially time with God, it's like on the surface, it's like, oh yeah, cool, like reading the Bible together and praying together every morning is great, but it's an individual relationship with Him too.
Yeah,
pray together, absolutely, but nurturing that individual relationship is also very important.
Yeah, 100%.
I just thought of this too. I'd love for you to speak on this as well, but I think so many guys especially, I can't speak for girls. I know they have like similar feelings, but like I'm 22, you're 20. We're trying to find purpose in life, and we're like, what do I do for the rest of my life? What's that one thing, and all this stuff. And we're trying, and a lot of times we find it. We try to look for it in the wrong areas. Fortunately, like by God's grace, we both have found Jesus to be the one thing that absolutely fills that void. But I think there's a very real feeling of being empty that so many people experience. So many people, like, yes, girls and guys, absolutely. But we try to fill it with everything else but Jesus, until we get to the point of either we're so tired of our own stuff that we finally are like, okay, God, let's try this out, or some like life-changing event happens and we're like, okay, God, I need you. Have you seen this in, like, I don't know, maybe school friends that you've seen growing up, or whatever, or like what advice would you give people that are like, I'm trying everything, I'm not trying Jesus, and I keep hearing people talk about it, but it just seems like cliche.
Yeah. I think people try to often fill that void with things, but you gotta fill it with good Christian people. Like I was very fortunate to be surrounded, especially at the church, but also in my school. Like all my friends and close friends were all Christian. So we all had something like similar in that we all like agreed on. And if anyone was going through like something, they would always like come to us, and we'd always be like, we'd be each other's support systems. And so there'd always be something to like fall back on, but also like get advice from other guys like my age that might be going through like the same things or things like that. But I would say finding like a good group of people, and not just solely like going on things to fill your time with, but spending time with good Christian people that has like the same values and beliefs that you do. That's been a big impact on my life. So if someone's out there trying to find what things to fill their life with, if you can find good Christian people or a good Christian community to be with, that's what I would say.
Awesome. Hey, I've loved this.
I love this. This is awesome.
This is awesome. I'd love if you could pray for us, pray us out, and then I'll close. Is that cool?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, man.
Yeah, I just thank you for this time that James and I have had together, and I thank you for James and his willingness to have me on the podcast, and just for James's willingness to be outspoken, and to put you first. God, I just pray for anyone listening that they'll be able to hear you from us, and just be inspired, and want to grow in a relationship with you more. God, I just pray for James's future and mine as well, that we will both be grounded in you, and that we will do everything unto you. Help us have a great rest of our day. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Brendan, thank you so much for sharing your story. Man, your journey, just wow, your testimony is incredible. Everything, even I'm sharing about relationships and your aspirations. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, James, for having me. It's been fun.
We'll see you on the next episode of High Value Hustling. Bye.